From every strand on the line of your reel, to the rods, to the anglers, to the lures on the end of your hook, let's talk about those big bass here on Co-Angler's Corner with your hosts, Rob Welch and John Stoudinger.
Good evening, everybody. I'm John.
Hi, y'all are. Cajun Rob here hanging out with you on a Tuesday.
You got me laughing again on that. I don't
I
understand
can't help
why.
it.
It's only been, what, 14, 15 months?
Yeah, somewhere like that, but it's all good, man. It's all good.
Yeah. Anyways, tonight's show is one that we'd like to have on. They are the winners from the LBAA tournaments. And this one is Miss Haley Huchowski. And I'll let her tell you the story, but she made a big impression on the LBA tournament on Bull Shoals. She won the co-angler side. Not only that, but she actually got to go out after the tournament the next day and fishing with the camera person. So,
wow,
yeah, we'll bring Haley on and let her talk a little bit about how things went down and go from there.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. How's it going, Haley?
Hello. Good. How are you guys?
Outstanding.
Yeah, doing pretty good. All right, Haley. She's been on and we've been laughing and having a good time. So
yeah.
Before we went live. If you don't mind telling the audience a little bit about yourself, and
yeah,
we'll go from there.
Yeah, my name's Haley. I'm 24 and currently reside in Azle, Texas. I've grown up here my entire life, and I've been in the fishing scene probably since my freshman year of high school. My dad has, from a younger age, he ended up getting a bass boat when we were younger, and we all just kind of dove right into it, wanting to learn. He started getting into bass fishing, and I'd say my elementary years, I would just go out occasionally. We'd go throw some live bait on, and we would go fish for crappie, sand bass, literally anything that would bite that minnow swimming in the water. And so those were kind of my first early experiences with it. And then the THSBA ended up creating, or the school that I went to in Azle, they ended up starting up a fishing team that year, my freshman year of high school. So the first year that it got started, I pretty much started with it. I was like, hey, Dad, would you want to be my captain? And we'll start fishing these, and, we'll just go from there. And we were learning, both at the same time with my partners that I had at the time. And that just kind of really grew my love for fishing. I realized quickly that I was pretty competitive. I'm really good at taking instructions, and I love to learn. I'm a big learner. So anything that I could be taught, I picked up real quick on it with fishing. And I did it for my freshman through my junior year of high school. I didn't do it my senior year because I was so busy. And then after that, I took a little bit of a break for about a year, just trying to focus on work straight out of high school. And then the next year, I ended up jumping in one of our local tournaments, Trophy Bass Club, for the individual series. And I ended up doing the Fun and Sun Metro Couples Division. And I was fishing those once a month. So I was on the water every single weekend pre-fishing or fishing a tournament. So I went from not really fishing too much to, okay, we're all in now. We're fishing every single weekend. And fortunate enough, I had a really great partner for the couples tournament named David. And he's definitely shown me a lot and taught me a lot that year that we fished together. And we had a lot of first place finishes and won the championship. And all the knowledge that he brought to me, I just retained and soaked it up like a sponge. So I've been able to use the knowledge that he's given me, and also my father's given me, and just kind of go out on the lake and try and do the best I can on these individual tournaments that I fish.
Nice.
Outstanding.
All right. You sound like you're a seasoned veteran. Not quite the Rick Clunn status, but you're. So, what brought you to fish this tournament, the LBAA?
So at the start of the season, I always say the start of the season. At the beginning of the year, we were kind of in a limbo. I knew I wanted to do the individual tournaments with Trophy Bass Club, but I didn't know if I wanted to do the couples. And my dad was looking at bigger tournaments. He was going to do like the Brandon Belk tournaments before that. Those ended up being not, canceled this year. And looking into Bass Champs and all these other bigger trails within the state of Texas. And so there's a lot of, well, if you don't do this, let's do this. And we're all trying to figure out our fishing schedules. And so I put the couples on hold for the year just because I'm also in school and was just trying to figure out what Haley wanted to do. And I'm like, at least for the most part, I knew I wanted to fish the individual tournaments just to have my foot still in the water. But I wanted to do something a little bit bigger. I would say kind of push me a little bit, get me out of my comfort zone. I feel like that's the only way that you can really ever get out of a comfort zone is to put yourself out of it. That's the only way you can grow and, you learn from the experiences, whether they're good or bad. So there's a Facebook page, the North Texas Women's Fishing page that I'm a part of. Jennifer Dillard runs that. She's phenomenal. She's a wonderful woman. And the LBAA is a member of that group. And they posted that they were needing additional co-anglers for the Bull Shoals tournament. And I saw it and it sparked my mind. I was like, curious. I'm so curious. I'm like, let's just see how this goes. And so I started doing a little bit of research and I looked about it and, just to kind of get an idea of what the price for, for the entry is. And I put a post out on the Facebook page for the women's fishing. And I just put, hey, is there any members in here that have ever fished these tournaments? And Julia Darbon commented on it. What's her name? Christine Fisher commented. Oh gosh, another lady. Her name's I think her name's Julia. Her first name Julia too. I'm blanking out, but a handful of women had reached out, and Julia Darbon for sure had sent me private messages and was telling me about, this is kind of how the layout is. If you like it, I think you'd be great. And everything that the women had talked about was that it's a very competitive, but the community afterwards is so great. The women are all so inviting, but of course I don't know them. So I'm like, how inviting is it going to be? I mean, right. These are women that like to fish. I would try to think that there's that they're going to be some tough women, of course. And so I was like, okay, I was getting all excited about it. And I was like, cool, let's just see what happens. And so I put a post out on Facebook to see if I can kind of help get some of the expenses paid for. And I think I looked into it Thursday. Friday morning, I put a post out on Facebook because, like I said, I fished a couple tournaments around here locally. So I know a lot of people that fish these local tournaments as well. And some of them own businesses. And I just put, hey, I'd like this opportunity to go fish this tournament. Is there anybody that would be willing to do like a one-time sponsorship for these expenses? Because I have no idea what this is going to be about. I just want to go dip my foot in the water. And within 3 hours, all my expenses plus more were paid for. Wow. So I registered right away. I got my licenses, at least one of my licenses. And then I think it was I was getting in the process of getting Arkansas's, but I got everything registered. I called around for lodging, everything. I had it all figured out by Friday. And then Saturday and Sunday finished packing up my stuff and was on the road on Monday. So driving up, I should say.
Yep. Not bad.
Yeah.
Good start. That was a good start.
I know, right? I know.
Yeah, I feel sorry for you. You have all those options to choose from for tournaments. And I'm in New York and there's like hardly any.
And you start later. And you start later too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we have a 4-month window.
Yeah,
well, I shouldn't say 4 months. We go June through October.
Really?
Yeah, October is not the best month to fish because it's so darn cold.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But
yeah, fortunately, here in Texas, especially like north, I would not say I'm central Texas by any means. That's like 4 hours away from me still, but North Texas, I mean, there's so many amazing trails around here and a lot of amazing people that put them on, that they just bring such a big crowd. And, I thought about hopping into some of the ones, but like Bass Champs and a couple other things that are pretty local around here, but they do travel because I wanted to try and hit some different lakes that we don't hit commonly on our little like bass club. And just to get some experience on some different bodies of water. Cause, like you said, to grow knowledge, you got to go see it and do it. So I was like, I just want to do something. And when I saw that, like I said, LBA had this opportunity that they were needing more co-anglers, I was like, think we're going to do it. I was like, I'm always a big person. If the Lord provides, it's his will, like, let's go do it. I was like, worst case is it doesn't happen. So like I said, I put the post out and within 3 hours, everything was covered and it just kept, it was great. I was emotional. I was crying all day. I was so giddy.
Awesome. All right. We got a couple comments. Let's get to those real quick, Rob.
Okay, sure.
And Dave Raleigh says, hey, y'all, what's happening?
Hey, Dave, what's going on, buddy?
He has to be from Maine saying y'all.
Maybe a little bit further south.
Abby, the best bow fishing partner.
That's right, Abby. That's my bow fishing partner. We're gonna do that.
Awesome.
Abby was a guest. We had her on last year.
Yep.
And I'm gonna try to get her again. Get her to come on again.
Absolutely.
So.
All right.
Your turn, Rob.
Okay. Now going into, did you practice? You get to practice much before the tournament, or how'd that go for you?
So Monday, I left here at 4 a.m. and got up to Arkansas around noon. And I only had an idea of one person that I was going to be with, and that was Chris Speak. She's a friend of my mom's that she had met, I think, through a North Texas women fishing event. And so my mom and her had exchanged info and then gave it to me. And so I was going to be staying with Chris while we were there. And I got there and she was like, where are you at? And I was like, parked in the parking lot somewhere. She's like, well, are you going to go fishing? And I was like, yeah, let's go fishing. So I got out of the truck and immediately in a boat and we were off, for the rest of the day. So I did have a little bit of time to take a look at the water. We didn't really do a whole lot of fishing. It was more of just scoping out the lake and seeing what it was all about. Because I've heard that Bull Shoals was a very clear lake. Until you get your eyes on it, you don't know how very clear, what the definition of very clear is. So just trying to look at things and see if there's, any difference in structure, or, the rock, anything, if there is a break on one side of the lake to the other. So we did a little bit of running, not too much, but I think we fished around, but really just looking at the lake, really.
I got you. Kind of scouting around, just kind of get a feel of things. I got you.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Anything else, Rob?
Yeah. Now the first day of the tournament, I know you had some jitters, but I'm sure the ladies made you feel at home, made you feel welcome. Who'd you draw day one?
Okay, so day one, I drew Miss Cheryl Bowden.
Wow.
So, yeah, I know. And of course, I'm coming into the tournament. I don't know any of these ladies. The only ladies that I knew of when I heard their name was Christine Fisher and Patterson. See, I can't Anastasia Patterson. Yep. Because I've seen Christine on Facebook, just her posts, but Anastasia fished the Pro-Am tournament out here at Eagle Mountain Lake, which is literally 5 minutes down the road from me, when they had the Bassmaster Classic out here just a couple, weeks ago. So I recognized those names. I'm like, oh, cool. They fished this pretty sick. And so I had no idea who everybody was. I didn't realize that Cheryl, until I drew her name and people were like, "You're with Cheryl," that she was, that she had started up the LBAA and had ran this for, several years and had put literally her blood, sweat, and tears into it to grow it, and, handed off the torch not that long ago to Travis and them. And so I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of intimidated because I'm like, man, she's ran this, she's gonna know what's going on. But then I was also like, perfect opportunity, because if I'm doing something wrong or, within, rules, I was just getting so nervous. I was like, if there's something wrong, she's going to correct me real quick. And I wanted her to, I'm always double checking. Am I doing this? Am I throwing too far? Am I passing your line? And she was just so great. I loved fishing with her, and she gave me all the information on, the depth we were going to be trying to target the night before. And, I'm a finesse fisherman all the way, fisherwoman all the way. That's my thing. I love the detail that it takes, and just being able to picture my bait underwater and see what it's doing. It's like my drug. It really is. Oh, yeah. You won't see me pick up a fast bait unless it's top water and, the fish are eaten. But I'll throw something fast if I really need to, but for the most part, I can get my work done with some kind of finesse fishing. So Cheryl was right there with me, and we fished a lot of the, little similar techniques. I don't think we ever really we did throw a little bit of the same bait, same type, but for the most part, I just went to what I was comfortable with. In a new state, new lake, new anything, they always say to fish your strong suits. And I'm a firm believer of that, because if you're confident in the bait that you're using and the color, then you will most likely catch a fish, because you know how you're working it.
Absolutely. You know how it feels with the fish on and without. So definitely.
Exactly.
When I first go ahead, Rob. Sorry.
I think she's got a fan there. Look at the comment.
Yeah, my lucky day, Cheryl. When I first started tournament fishing, one of the clubs the club I fished with, one guy, he won the first 6 tournaments of the year, all on a spinnerbait. And I'm like, why? He said, if I just throw one bait all day, I'm bound to get bit.
Right.
Yep.
But if I switch it up, I might not get bit.
Yep. You could lose out on it. Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right. It made sense to me, but I still don't adhere to it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's get a couple more of these comments rolling, if you don't mind, Rob.
Yeah, man. Sure thing.
Gail says, I'm sorry. My screen messed up. Go Haley. North Texas women fishing loves you. We are so happy for you.
Awesome.
Travis saying hey.
Yep. Hey, Travis.
And how do you like bull fishing with Michael H?
Aaliyah.
That was an experience, a totally different experience in its own. That was something else. His personality, I've been guide fishing one time, and that was for striper up at Texoma. And we were just going, my mom rides motorcycles, and we went with the group of ladies that she rides Harleys with. And of course I'm like, I do this fishing. I've never went guide fishing. And our guide, Craig, he was great. Michael, he has such a great personality. I think it's kind of like mine. So we got along really well. Me, him, and Abby, I think our personalities just clicked. We literally were talking about anything and everything, messing with each other. The whole atmosphere was just very positive.
Oh, nice.
And really great at giving instructions. He got us real comfortable at first with, learning how to shoot the bow first off in the water and look at the, where you have to aim it, because of course, when you shoot it, when it goes in the water, it's looking like it's going a whole different direction.
Yep.
Right.
So he showed us those little tips and tricks. And I'm not kidding. I think by the end of the night, me and Abby were he was just still driving the boat, and we were just targeting him as we were going and shooting him and getting him. We didn't have to stop anymore. So
Nice.
it was fun. We had such a great time. I don't think any of us wanted to get off that water that night. We were having such a great time. It's a great experience.
Awesome.
If you have the chance to do it and have Michael be your guide over there, over at Bull Shoals, definitely hit him up.
Outstanding.
And Carly Jo Prevette says, "Hey guys."
Hey, Carly.
Hey, Carly.
Hey, Carly.
Cheryl Bowden says you did great.
She did great too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's huge coming from the legend. So let me go ahead and tell you.
And Jen Nolan. That's my new daughter on the water.
There you go.
Oh my gosh. I love
And she says, "Thanks for feeding me. The best dang parking lot PB&J out there."
Nothing wrong with that.
Did you drop it?
So right when I got there from getting up to Arkansas, I was sitting in the parking lot, and Jen just happened to be sitting in the parking lot too. And she came and knocked on my window, and she's like, "Do you know who the owners are and when they'll be here?" I was like, "I literally just parked." And I was like, we were talking for a little bit, and I told her that I was going to be fishing the tournament and that I was new. And then we ended up sitting on my tailgate, and I gave her an Uncrustables, and we drank a Dr. Pepper Zero, and we sat on the tailgate for like an hour and just talked and ate sandwiches.
Wow.
Nice.
Great. My first friend that I met there.
And she's no stranger to this show. She's been on once or twice.
Oh
I
yeah,
believe
quite a
it.
few. Quite a few.
Yeah. So
Definitely.
how did going after day one, were you lead? You were in second place, I think.
I was in fourth.
Okay. And what was your mindset like?
Well, so I had a pretty open mind on everything. Really, like I said, I wanted to fish the tournament just to kind of get my feet wet and something different that I'm not used to. I wanted the travel, whether it was 2 hours or, 7.5, I wanted something different. So I wasn't going in the mindset with, I want to take first place. Of course, everybody's mind when they're fishing a tournament, it's always, you want to do the absolute best you can.
Yep.
But I was like, hey, I'm sitting in fourth. I'm feeling pretty good. And, so of course my biggest goal was to try and duplicate the same weight that I had the day before. Because, in a 2-day tournament, especially when you're drawing a completely different boater, you have no idea where you're going. And you have no idea what type of fish they're targeting, and so the opportunity to catch, of course, it's there, but you don't know until you actually pull up to the spot, they put the trolling motor down, and you see how far in or far out you are. So I kept an open mind because I didn't want to get myself up or whatever. I didn't want to get down, before I was even in it. So, and I'm one to keep my mind pretty open. And, I always say the tournament is not over until literally the last time stops or until you have to absolutely pull out and go to be back in. Because I've caught fish at the last minute that have helped in certain tournaments before, or I never got my fish until later in the day. It just happens that way. So I'm not like, oh, if I miss him in the morning, it's done. You just got to go digging and got to go look. So.
Yeah, you're right.
Never give up.
Nope. There's sometimes I'm like, man, what's going on? But for the most part, so I try to compose myself and get it back together, and then just keep going.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So from what I see and hear, you fit right in with the LBAA girls.
It was great.
Everyone we have on here is bubbly, excited, happy to just have their voice heard,
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it was great. And I guess one thing for me too that I mentioned to a couple people, and Cheryl had to remind me this on day one. I had my 3 fish in the boat, and I'm looking at my scale, and I'm like, 5 pounds. That's it. I was like, 5 pounds. I was like, and of course, I'm used to fishing. So the individual trail I fish here, it's a 3 fish limit as well.
Yep.
And usually you have to hit about 9 pounds to do anything, depending on the time of the year, if not 10 on 3 fish here. So I'm like looking at him like, this is not going to do nothing for me. I was like, what in the world? And then I mentioned it to Cheryl. I was like, man. And she goes, no, Haley. She goes, this lake, you have to remember, you're not fishing any of these lakes in Texas that hold multiple and abundance of 6 and overs. You know what I mean? So it was in that moment, I was like, oh yeah, I'm literally not in Texas anymore. Like I'm, going to north. And so the likelihood of catching anything over a 6 went straight, it decreased. I didn't look at the statistics on what big fish are there. The best thing I had to preparing was Google Earth to look at structure from previous years when the lake was low and high and all the things. And then YouTube videos after YouTube videos to see what size, quality, and some people were getting them good, but in that moment I was like, okay, wait, I may actually have a shot here. And when I had my 3rd fish, she was like, that's going to be the difference. That's what's going to make the difference. Because in a co-angler tournament, your 3 fish, that helps you because some people can't get their 3rd. Yep. And so I'm always like, okay, just get the first one. And once you get the first one, you move on to your second one. And then once you get your second, then you get your 3rd. Then you take a breath and relax. And then you start going and just trying to cull. So
absolutely.
You would never know this was her first co-angler event.
No.
Well, I have some pretty stiff competition with my dad because for the individual tournaments, we fish out the same boat, but we're fishing against each other. And, we have no rules. He just says, don't get your line caught in my stuff. So I'll front end him from the back. So I'm like trying to get used to not throwing my line up in front of Cheryl, and I did a really good job remembering that. But, it's all when it's my dad, all bets are off,
Oh, yeah.
I got to take it hard on him because he takes it hard on me.
Of course. All right. So let's talk about day 2.
Day 2.
Yes. How did it go?
Day 2. That was a very emotional day. I drew Julia Darbon. Well, I didn't say a draw. We went in reverse order. And so she was the next person. And I ended up drawing Julia for my boater. And what's crazy is Julia was the one that gave me all the information that I needed about this tournament. And so I was like, what are the odds? She was like, you're the Texas girl. I was like, yes, I'm the Texas girl. I was like, I'm the one that put the post out. And so we just clicked right away. She was doing, she was targeting some fish. I would say a little bit shallower than what me and Cheryl were doing from what we found in the areas that me and Cheryl were at. We, we hit that secondary bank line from when all that water came up, the 13 foot, we were trying to target that. Julia, we were trying to hit those fish that, had either just come off from spawning or were moving up since all that water kept coming in, that cooler water, trying to push that bait up. We were just trying to fish. So we were going a little bit shallower, but in between a lot of buckbrush and all the grass weeds under the water that were just matted all together. And I was like, oh, so instantly Julia was hammering on those fish. I mean, it was like every single cast. She had her first 5 in the boat by, I think, 8-ish. And they were decent quality fish. We were not catching any small ones. I say she was not catching any small ones. And I'm back here. I'm like, great job. And I'm like, bite my worm. And I ended up needing, I was throwing trick worm. I ended up throwing drop shot. I threw that the day before and trick worm. And I ended up having a lot of good, my fish on it and got some good bites. So I was throwing both of those and I couldn't get anything. And I was like trying to look at the water because it was so clear. I was like, okay. And she's going almost weightless. And I was like, I need to change up because where we're at, I'm not going to do anything unless I go weightless. And I love finesse fishing, but I needed to do something that I was not so confident with. And it took me a little bit, but until I got that first bite and I felt how it felt, and I got the first one in the boat, I was like, okay, now I know how this is going to go. But Julia was cooling all day. I think I had 5 or 6 bites, and I got all of them.
Nice.
And 2 of them were small where I couldn't keep them, and 4 of them were keepers, and they were the right size keepers. I ended up cooling 1 time, and that was my last fish at like 1:30. And I cooled, but like I said, they were just the right size fish I needed. And I kept saying, I just need a little bit of luck. That was something me and my partner David used to say all the time we were fishing. I just need a little bit of luck. And then, I just patient waiting it out. I knew I was doing something right, but, and Julia, so sweet. She was like, I'm not going to beat everything crazy. I'm going to give you spots to target. So you just need to, watch where I leave open, because it's fair game. Once I pass it up, it's yours. Go for it. And I did. But I mean, I think day 2 definitely didn't get as many bites as I had on day 1. But the quality of fish that I was catching, I was like, okay, this is great. And I didn't weigh any of my fish. I think I put a culling tag on one of them, and it was my Kentucky that I was like, you're going to get out the boat before the end of the day. And I was proclaiming it. I was like, you're going to get out. I'm sorry, buddy, but you're not staying. So, and luckily I was able to get him out, like I said, about 1:30. But me and Julia were able to talk and think about different ideas, and it paid off on a couple. She was able to cull, and I was able to bring one in, and on just different ideas we were bouncing off, and we ended up staying in one area all day long. I think we left for an hour, and we turned around. We looked at each other, and she was like, we left fish to find fish, and we went right back, and they just kept reloading all day. It was great. So it was a really fun day of fishing. I mean, it was awesome. It was an awesome experience to see somebody else in action in their element, because Julia, she's very competitive. But we had such a good, camaraderie on the boat. And, she was just hyping me up as much as I was for her, when she was catching. And I was like, okay, well, I think I at least have 5 pounds. I didn't know that I had 7, but until it got on the scale, because I was just worried about getting them in the live well and getting my line back out in the water. So,
yeah.
Oh yeah. But that's awesome. You got you got every bite to the boat. I mean, I've had days like that, and the next day, if I get half of them to the boat, I'm lucky. So it's your day.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that it really sunk in, and I think I mentioned this to everybody. Most of that credit has to go to the boaters, because if I would have drawn anybody different, who knows how the tournament would have played out.
Yeah.
Of course, I've got to be able to know what the bite feels like, because it was a very weird bite. They weren't hitting it hard like I'm used to, here. It was just a soft pickup, and you just see your line go. And I was like, oh, wait, there's a fish on there. Set the hook. But, other than that, it was a very, very weird bite. But once I figured out how the decent sized ones were biting, man, those little spots, they were aggressive. You would thought it was a 5-pounder, but no, it's the size of my pinky. And I was like, what the heck are you doing biting my worm? But, the decent size, and I say decent being 16 to 18-inch bass, out there, those are about 2.5 to 3. If you get all the way up to the 18 mark, those were the ones that we were trying to target. I mean, and like I said, we just had one area that we hit all day practically, and they just kept reloading. And I was just like, thank you, Lord. I pray for fish. I pray for everybody to be safe. I don't get stingy until I'm like, okay, Lord, I meant a bigger fish, like a keeper. It doesn't have to be like massive, but something that'll help me. Yep. And, I think the day worked out great. It's exactly what me and Julia both needed, and I really enjoyed it. And it got my mind going, because like I said, if it comes easy, it's great. But when you have to dig hard and you're working hard and you're staying on it and just running through your mind where your next cast has to be, where your next thing, if we need to move off, go up, anything, that the constant running through your mind, that's what fires me up. Because whenever I catch and it's a good, it makes me feel so much better about my technique or, whatever. So it's rewarding on my mental aspect of fishing as well.
You get that momentum going.
Yep.
Now,
Definitely.
I'm not sure of the rules. Do you qualify for their championship by winning an event?
I do. I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They told me that after. I was like, really? I was like, looks like we're going to Kentucky. So, yeah. So
maybe we'll have some live interviews from Kentucky.
Oh, absolutely.
I'll talk to our guru and see if we can get something going on.
Yeah, so I'll be going out there. I'm pretty positive.
Okay.
I know some great places to eat out there, so you need some advice where to go eat. Hit me up. I know them.
Yeah, I need all the energy I can get, so I'm not shy.
Yep. There's a couple awesome places out there I can direct you.
Well, thank you.
Uncrustables aren't the only thing out there.
Mm-hmm. No. I never had Uncrustables until I started making my own money, and then I was like, I could buy Uncrustables. We had to make our own peanut butter jelly sandwiches here.
Oh yeah, and cut the crust out. You had to cut the crust out.
Mm-hmm. So I was like, man, I could just buy these myself now. I'm so lucky.
Yeah, I know. Saves all kind of time.
All right, we got a couple comments. Let's get to those, Rob.
Yep. All right. There you go.
Travis says, Michael said Abby and Haley was the best 2 first-time bowfish clients he's ever had.
He did say that. He did say that for sure.
That's a good compliment right there.
Yeah. And Jen, my comment that you act like one of them, and she has said she is us.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Jen also comes back with good stuff. Brock Bigglefish. Hello, Haley. Wasn't it nice, though, not having to worry about boat running lanes here like you have in Texas deep waters?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a couple times where, I feel like I got to hold on to the handles a little bit when we're here running some of these lakes, like Palestine or like Fork when we go out there, and even Granbury. I mean, you got to stay on those running patterns. If not, you may get a surprise, especially when the lakes go low, because it's very easy to do here with the lack of rain we get during the summer and the amount of heat.
Wow. Crazy.
That's something I didn't understand. Oh, I'm sorry. Diana Smith Oodleback says, congratulations, Haley, on your win.
Thank you.
All right.
Jen Nolan says, I'll be up there in 2 weeks. Give us dinner spots.
Yep. See, one is Fast Eddie's. Fast Eddie's is tackle shop and a restaurant. They got some awesome food. And then, God, I can't remember the place. It's 1888 or whatever. It's on the north end of the lake. It's really good. It's got a restaurant and like a bunch of shops. It's really neat. So I'll think of it here in a minute.
If a Viking happens to fall off the back of your truck for, I'll come pick it up.
Man, let me know. I'll go pick it up. I don't care.
There you go.
No. I just can't believe your first tournament.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Now, I've been doing this for longer than you've been alive.
I wasn't going to say that.
Wow. I mean, I've won tournaments, but not that level of tournament.
Patty's 1880s. That's the one I was trying to think of. I don't know why I couldn't think of it. But yeah, look up Patty's 1880s. It's pretty nice.
And I think for me, like I said, I wouldn't say with low expectations, because there was definitely, to set a goal. I'm always one that I want it to be as obtainable as possible, especially if I have no experience on a lake. I've seen in past, for me, having no experience on a lake does me a lot better, because I have no previous idea of, I caught him here really good 3 months ago. It's also a completely different time of year. It was probably raining that day, or a cold front blew through, who knows, so having no idea. Now I'm like, okay, this is territory. I said, just start looking at things, remember what you know from your knowledge of just fishing in the past, and just go do it, go hammer down. So I always say that helps play out in key. That's helped me out on some larger tournaments, and just punching ideas out, And it's true. Like Travis on day 2 when we were weighing in, and I ended up weighing in I think I weighed in towards the end because my flight was last. But I know that they had, I think it was Heather, Secret, and Carly waiting at the bins to go weigh in because they were the top 3 from day 1. And so I think I weighed in 2 before they started. And so whenever they were like, oh, you need, I think it was 3 something to take over the lead. And I ended up weighing in 7 pounds. I was like, when he said 3, I was like, well, I got that. I was like, I know I have that in this bag. And then when he put it on there, it's 7. I was like, man, I got 7 pounds. What? And so I was so giddy. I mean, I was trying to keep it cool because I didn't want to get too excited. But I was like, okay, well, I definitely, like I said, my goal was to go out there and at least get as close to my weight that I had the day before. Because if you can usually duplicate or be right under or right above, usually that'll help. But I knew I needed to make up the difference between first place with Carly's 7 pounds and 70 something ounces, I think. So I was like, okay, I need my buffer. I was like, if I can close the gap a little bit, that'll help. And like I said, I didn't weigh any of my fish, so I had no idea until I put them in that bag. And I was like, ooh, you're a little heavier than yesterday. So, but I was sitting on stage and Travis was like, how does it feel to know that you're sitting first right now, but you got 3 real strong ladies coming up? I was like, at least I got 4th. I mean, I was like, right. I'm sitting prettier than what my original goal was. And then after, Heather weighed, and then after Secret weighed, he's like, how you feel now? I was like, well, I got 2nd secured. I'm waiting on Carly to come up. I was like, this is great. I was like, I'm already higher up than I thought, and then when Carly pulled her fish out and I saw it, I was like, man, I just got first place. Are you kidding me? And I was like, man, this is crazy. It was super cool. I didn't really, like I said, I didn't have time for the thoughts and everything to set in because I was just so excited. And then everybody was talking to me after. So I didn't really get time to think about it until my drive home.
It's like a flash. It's like, shoo.
Yeah. Well, and it was after the weigh-in, we went back to go eat. And then that's when Abby was like, hey, I know you've been fishing all day. I'm sure you're tired, but you want to go bow fishing tonight, in an hour? And I was like, yes, I'm here for experiences. Let's do it. So we ended up going on the water at 8:00 and didn't get off till midnight. And it was great. I was tired, but it was so worth it. I mean, that was a different experience.
Oh yeah. That's pretty cool.
I've never done that.
Yeah.
If you're look into it.
If you're squeamish to blood, I wouldn't do it. But I was like, man, we came off the water. I was like, I'm covered in blood. I was like, this is awesome. So I was just like, man, it was fun to know. I mean, just to, help with, the water conservation and everything with the species that we were targeting, and just, everything in general, just the whole lineup of it. I was like, if I was stressed, this would feel real good. But right now I'm excited. I just want to keep the momentum going. I was like, this is relaxing all the different emotions I was feeling today with the excitement at the beginning. And then the lingering worry in the back of my head. You need to start catching, Haley. Julia's killing it up there. You need to get something on your line. So, Julia kept just reminding me it's patience and it's time, You're going to get them. And I'm really good at reassuring myself. But when the person that's running the boat is also reassuring me, that made it feel so much better, especially on the boater side, because I knew what she needed to get to bump her weight up. So I'm like, I told her, I was like, you keep going. Don't worry about me. You need to do your job just as well. Yep. So, but man, I left with 7 pounds and she left with 13 something. And I think it was a great day for us both.
Yeah.
And I think you and both boaters seems like you had good communication and you had a good relationship with both. And I think you had two of the better teachers and coaches in the LBAA too. So I think that was great.
Yeah, like I said, if I would have had any other boaters, who knows how it would have went, all the ladies out there that they operate their boat, they already know, I would say, what they're doing. You won't find a boater out there that doesn't know how to run a boat, what to look for, and of course every lake's different. The amount of, I know a lot of ladies that were practicing that they're like, their bite was different every single day, but we're also dealing with bright blue skies the day before the last official day of practice, and then it was thunderstorming on Tuesday, and then thunderstorming going into the tournament, and then stops right when the tournament starts. And it was just all the fluctuation of the weather didn't help at all. So I was like, whatever everybody was doing, practice, kind of scratch that. That's why I was like, I like having no idea, because I can switch it up to figure out the bite. And for the most part, I was, like I said, just stuck with what I was getting my bites off of and just staying consistent with it.
Yeah, you was what they say, fishing the moment. You was fishing the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We got a couple comments. Let's get to those.
All right.
Before we, Diana says dinner bell.
Yep, dinner bell's a good one. Yep, that's a good one.
Cheryl says Fast Eddie's is just down the road from the launch.
Nice.
Yep. Top-notch folks over at Fast Eddie's. Good food too.
You may see Rob there one of these days. Jeremy May says, good evening, ladies and gents.
How's it going, Mr. Mayhem?
Hey, JJ. Abby says, so freaking fun.
It was.
Oh, yeah. That
You know,
sounds
Rob, Jeremy says, you live too far north for the real fun, sir.
Oh.
Is he talking to you?
I think he's talking to you, John.
Oh. Hey, we'll see you in a couple months.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
Then
and he's going to be on the back of the boat. That's going to be pretty interesting. So we'll see. The field is equalized. We'll see how that goes.
He's already got 14 cases of Dramamine, in fact, already.
Oh, Lord.
Oh.
Poor guy.
Oh. So what were the key baits that you used, if you don't mind sharing?
So I used watermelon red trick worm on my shaky head. I like using trick worms on shaky heads just in general. I kind of had the idea of the color because there's a lake not that far from here, Possum Kingdom, and it's got really clear water at certain times of the year, especially like it just seems to usually be pretty clear. So I've had good luck in the past with watermelon red and one that's called Bama Magic. It's a dinger by Yum. That's a good one. That's a real good one. And but the watermelon red, just from looking at the glitter and stuff, I thought that would probably produce a little bit more. So I stuck with that mostly on day one. I picked up a couple different things. I didn't feel good about it. My gut was telling me put it down, and I sure am glad I did, because when Cheryl showed me the tree and she's like, "This is your bush." She's like, throw at that bush and there's going to be a fish on it. And by golly gee, I threw at that bush and I caught my keeper. And she's like, what did I tell you? You almost doubted me. And I was like, what? No. I was like,
called the shot. That's impressive.
I know. So I stuck with trick worm for most of the day. I did pick up my drop shot a little bit. That's a new one that I actually just learned within the last few weeks at a fish in Palestine. I was like, I want to try fish and drop shot. So I stuck with it all day until and I was catching fish after fish after fish, and it was working great. And so I was like, yeah, I like this. So I was like, in case they want a little bit of a higher presence versus being right on the bottom, I had that option as well. And then the second day I threw my trick worm a couple and a few, but I definitely went weightless with like a wacky setup.
Nice.
Floating it over that all tangled up in grass and on the outside of the buck brush, just floating it on the top.
Good call.
Yeah.
That was thanks to Julia too, because I'm like, I'm running out of ideas here. And I was just, you got to pick up sometimes and try something new.
Oh, absolutely.
It seems like the best tournaments when you're a co-angler boater situation or when you both anglers talk to each other and help each other.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I know
It
that
sounds
there
like
was, we worked really well together. Both of our both my boaters. There was times where they were asking, what my personal opinion is, and we changed it up. I know on day 2 we moved off a little bit, and by golly, we moved off and started catching them again, real nice. Me and Julia, and I was like, "What? No way!" So I was like, "Yeah, that's awesome." But and me and Cheryl were talking things through. I said, no, I think we're on the right path. We just got to find them, and it's such a large lake. It's like, okay, where could they be,
Yeah.
So it's just, like you said, I think Cheryl and Julia both said it best, we're going with our guts on this one.
Yep.
And if it doesn't feel right, we're leaving. And I was like, that's fine with me. Just tell me when I need to start putting my stuff down and get my life jacket on. So.
Yep. Absolutely.
we got a couple more comments, then we'll get to
All right.
the ending here. Jeremy says, loaded with Dramamine on the way. And Brock Bigglefish says, Rob isn't familiar with any of these baits. He's learning, though, I think. No, I'm not familiar with those baits.
Yep.
I'm not a shaky head person. I'm not a wacky rig person. But I will do a drop shot.
Well, I think the drop shot works good up north, and the shaky head and wacky rig works more south. That's what I hear from a lot of guys. So yeah, it kind of changes, but I only see about 30,000 fishing products a day. So yeah,
Only.
Are they in your kayak?
Probably about 10,000 of them. If you ask my wife, probably about 10,000, but it's in the garage.
She knows about 100 of them.
Yeah. She loves my pink white. I got pink worms everywhere. She loves the pink worms. So not so much. When she washes my clothes and they come out in the wash and the dryer, it's not too good for me.
See, I'd be like, Rob, you need to do laundry now.
Oh yeah, I do most time anyway.
Yeah. Brock says Rob has an inside scoop on all the skews.
Yeah, I can tell you what's hot most of the time. What's in demand. So
yeah. So Haley, we're at a portion of the show where we like to let you talk about your sponsors or people who've helped you along the way, people you'd like to thank.
Okay.
And we'll let you just go right at it.
Okay. First and foremost, I'd like to thank my mom and dad and the Lord. Of course, I'm glad I have the opportunity to do these things, and, just the Lord's protection over us and allowing me to do these things and having the opportunities and providing ways for me to do these things. It's just so great. Can't even fathom it sometimes. And then my parents, just the support. My mom and my dad are real big into fishing. Me and my mom fished a trail last year in the first all women's qualifier for it over here against an all men's pretty much team. So we fished together and my dad. So just to have their kind of support when I was like, I literally texted my dad and I was like, hey, are you okay with me driving 8 hours away to go fish a tournament? And he was like, yes. And I was like, what if it's during a work week? Cause we have a family business. He's like, no. And I was like, okay, we'll talk about it later. So, to be able to leave work, and I still worked and I still did schoolwork. When I got off the water, I was working and doing school. So, cause I had finals this week. So I was like, we're going to make sure I get my stuff taken care of. So, I also want to thank Texas Boat Works. They're a local Bass Cat shop over here in the Fort Worth area. They sell Bass Cats. They also sell pre-owned boats. They get skeeters, phoenixes, really anything that anybody wants to trade in to get a down payment on a Bass Cat. They're a really great group of guys over there. They take care of us with our Bass Cat and our Ranger, and they just support me in so many ways, uplift me. And some of the tournaments that I've done, just their unfailing support, just it's mind blowing. And then, of course, our business, TX Glazing, like I said, I had the opportunity to leave and still work, and they still helped sponsor. So it was it's great. I love what we have going over there at our glass shop and wouldn't trade it for the world. And then these last people I'm about to mention are the businesses, are the ones that came in like last minute and were like, hey, we want to see you go do this. We want to see you go win this thing. That's what a couple of them said. They're like, now go win it. I was like, oh, no pressure. But, they're like, we love to support our female anglers. And they, a lot of these people have seen how I fish. So it just made me feel good. I'm like, man, you guys wanted to help little old me. Like, so that would be Mad Dog Graphics and Designs. That's Billy Matthews. He also runs the NTX Bass Elite Series over here. It's a little bit of a bigger team trail, I guess you'd say. A little bit of if you're looking for like a step up in a tournament trail where you're not just paying like, $50 for a team and whatever. He runs a really good system over there. Grit Expo, that's Kelly Malden. I didn't even know Kelly. He heard it through Billy and he wanted to sponsor me as well. So I was like, what? Mind blown. I was like, I don't even know you, but I feel like I do. I was like, I'm about to get to know you and we're going to be friends. So just like I said, the support from them, one of our good friends, Justin Huffman, and his beautiful wife, Lupia. Justin runs North Texas Plumbing Solutions, and his wife runs Core Vitality Aesthetic and Wellness. And Justin's big in the fishing scene, and him and his wife are great. So they definitely helped me out a lot as well. And H4 Outdoors, that's Pete Hernandez. He was just like, you never know if you're going to have any unexpected expenses. And so he's like, we want to help you out whether or not you met your goal. So those are the people that I had in my corner this tournament. And of course I had so many other people in my corner. The support that I had from everybody back home is worth more than, all the sponsorships or the money or the gear or the reels, anything like that. The support, the comments, the good luck texts, everything like that was just, it's more than a girl could ask for. It's more than anybody I think that fishes could ask for. Because that's so good to know that you have so many people in your corner and rooting for you. And there was a handful of people that watched the live on day 2 and were just, just texting me after or putting it out on their Facebook page, like our girl just won, kind of thing. So just all of our friends and family, all the people that I fish with and compete against and everything, they all had my back. So just honestly, everybody, like I said, the relationships I build is more than anything. And I just appreciated it.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Hey, Rob, do you realize yesterday and today they were both college students?
No. Wow. Now I do feel old now.
If that doesn't tell you, ladies, if that doesn't tell you what the future's looking like.
Good hands.
Travis,
it's in good hands.
Travis, you're very blessed, sir. So
absolutely.
All right. Anything else, or Haley, you have anything else you want to say, or?
No, I think I've covered it. Like I said, excitement at the very beginning, and just like I said on the drive home, waiting for reception, I just was all in my feelings. I didn't want to leave. I had such a great time, but then I had to remember like all these ladies are leaving too. So, the relationships that I built, everybody was texting me. I think I talked with Cheryl on the phone for a little while we were driving. We kept passing each other. I missed an exit. I had to hop back on. I was like, I just passed you again. She called me and we talked, and I called Julia while we were driving just to make sure, everybody was doing good, getting back to where they're going. So, and ironically, Cheryl lives like 30 minutes away from me. So
wow.
I didn't realize that when I gave her my number, she was like, Fort Worth. I was like, yes. And she was like, I live in North Richland Hills. I was like, no way. So hopefully me and Cheryl can get together before another LBA tournament and just, just go out on the water and just hang out with no, there's still going to be some competition, but without any of the additional stress that's added to it. So
right. That could be a good travel partner for you with the LBAA.
There you go.
I know. I think she says she has somebody she travels with, but I don't remember. I talked with so many ladies that I was like, I have no idea. I was like, yes, give me all the phone numbers and invite me to all the pages. I want to fish all these different trails now. So I'm like, let's just do it. So
absolutely.
And Brock with the last comment of the night says, well done, young lady.
Absolutely.
So, well, congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Cheryl says, let's do it. Sorry, Brock.
There you go.
Last comment. All right. Anything else, Rob?
No, just hey, we look forward. I hope you can fish some more LBA events, and look forward to you fishing the championship. And I'm gonna try to make it down there, hopefully, depending on my work schedule. And good luck to you in the rest of the season. And congrats again.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm planning on hitting Grand Lake over in July, and then of course Kentucky, and then I've actually got a tournament this upcoming weekend for our club tournament over here. So we have a meeting tomorrow to figure out which lake that is and figure it out and go either get on the water or do some research about that one. So
awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, hey, good luck and keep being safe.
Thank you. You guys too.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Thanks. Have a good one.
Bye.
You too.
All right.
Wow.
Wow, man. First tournament out and brings home the big W. Awesome.
Whew.
And fish with two legends. So
Yes.
I mean that in itself was winning in itself.
Yes. And both last night and tonight, albeit, just listen to the women speak. And the excitement and the charisma they have.
Yep.
Men, you need to watch out.
Yeah. And the passion and the passion they have for the sport is obvious.
Yes. And it's just crazy because if these ladies decide to go fish the opens or whatever, I think you're going to be in trouble.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, all right, folks. Well, hey, thanks again for watching. Tomorrow night we have Henry Fristic on from New York. He's going to be talking about largemouth and smallmouth bass and may get into something a little controversial.
And Henry, we've had Henry on before. Great guest. Very very sharp on what's going on. So I'm looking forward to getting Henry's take on everything.
Yes. And everybody take care. Be safe. If you're going out fishing, wear your life vest.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, we've had a couple of fatalities here in Kentucky over the last couple of weeks. So everybody, please be safe, be careful out there, and watch out for each other.
And do me a favor. If you cannot see the front of your boat, don't start flying down the lake.
Yeah.
So, all right. Anything else, Rob?
No, that's it. Like I said, appreciate everybody tuning in. Give us likes and shares, and y'all stay safe out there. And we'll see you tomorrow night. And we love you all. Peace out.